Goalie Science, the podcast where we bridge the gap between goaltending, hockey, science, and the application of all three. Here with my third in-person guest, your mom's favorite goalie, Max Vayrynen. Max, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Our location, we're up in your summer cottage in Finland, at the town. I can't pronounce it. Could you give us a name here?
I'm not actually quite sure which town it is, what town it's called, but it's Shrewsbury and Saimaa.
Okay, so some call this the Muskokas of Finland. I don't know if they do, but I'm not sure if you get that reference. The nice cottage area in Ontario, the Muskokas. But Max is one of my goalies at Michigan Tech. He's going into his sophomore year. A lot of interesting questions. I've got a few questions. Interesting, mostly about kind of that transition, being a European goalie playing in a American college. Seems that over the last, I would say, like 5 or 6 years, there's been a massive influx of European, like specifically goalies, but a lot more players in the NCAA. So before we get into your career and stuff, how did you end up coming over into the USA?
So I think it was after my under 18 season. I decided, after some thinking about it, I decided that I want to go college and not stay in Finland and go pro. And I think some of the biggest reasons were I was always pretty decent at school, and I wanted to keep that going and kind of have a plan B for life if hockey doesn't turn out for some reason. Could sometimes be for reasons you can't control yourself, like an injury or something like that. So I always wanted to have a plan B in life and have that education along with me on the way. And I always knew college is a very good, obviously a very good league, and the opportunities are endless, and also the experiences and all that you get from college is just it's priceless. So,
Now, do many Finnish kids, like, is NCAA on their radar
it is
growing up?
It
Okay,
is.
and is it always been, or is that more of a new thing?
I think it's more recent. It's always been there. Like, there's been some older goalies too, and some older players that went to college, but I think it's starting to boom right now. It's pretty popular right now.
And what was your recruiting kind of journey like? Like, who at Tech first reached out? How did that process go? I find for everyone, it's always different. For me, like, I was recruited first out of like an exhibition game. Was the first time I saw Billy McCall, who was the assistant coach at the time, and I had never heard of Tech. I actually asked him if Tech was a Division III school. So tough start to that career. But what was it like for you?
So I think it started, like I said, I decided to go to college and now stay in Finland, and I let my family advisors know that I want to go to college, and they put out my name out there. And then I got reached out by a couple of teams. I think Union was one of them, and then Tech was just, they were really interested, and right from the get-go, they sounded like they actually wanted me in the program. And I think it was one weekend they came to watch my games. In Turku, there's like 3 games. And after the last game, they reached out and said, like, yeah, we want you to come and how would a scholarship sound like? And that's how it started.
Did you visit Tech prior to showing up, or you just committed?
I did not. I committed through phone. And then I was supposed to come, but I think Tech had some renovations with the facility, new locker room and all that. So they said, just come in the fall when everything's right. Everything's done. There's really nothing show when I was under construction. So
What were your first impressions of flying into did you fly in or drive Chicago or go to Chicago and then drive up?
I flew to Chicago, and then we flew to Holden the next day. We actually missed our flight the first time, so that was fun. We stayed at the hotel in Chicago. But first impressions were, I mean, unreal. New facilities, you don't have that anywhere in Finland. Like, it beats every pro team in Finland.
Really?
It was pretty awesome.
So the facilities, small town. So you're from Espoo, so more of a larger city. As a population, would you say is about 500,000, 250? Was it a big transition for you going from playing or living at home, playing in a larger city, to a small town? Is this your first time away from home?
It's my first time.
Oh, the first time.
So last year, playing in Finland, I played in Pori, which is a city of about 89,000 or something like that. So that was my first time when I moved away from home, and I played hockey there for the last year of my junior career.
Now, let's go back a little bit into your goaltending journey. So when did you start playing hockey? I know you lived the first chunk of your life in South Africa, but coming from South Africa back to Finland, like when did you start playing hockey? Did you immediately start as a goalie? Were you a player? Like what was that? How'd that go for you?
I think first time I got interested in hockey, I was really young. We went to watch a hockey game, our local Espo Blues local pro team, and I was right from the start really interested in the goalies. Their helmets were really cool, in my opinion, and the pads, and something about it just drew my attention, and I wanted to be a goalie. And I think I hopped on the ice for the first time. I was like 6 or 7, and then the gears rotated in the team, and I wanted to try it. I want to think I was pretty good, like at the start, and I really enjoyed it. And then maybe 1 or 2 years into that, I started being a goalie full time, but and then I started my goalie career.
So you never really played as a player?
I did actually. Like when we rotated, I would play. Let's say I had maybe 30 games in season. I played maybe 10 of them in the goal. So majority was as a player when they gear rotated. But then I wanted to stick to being goalie, and my first dream was being a center. So that was kind of a funny contrast going from the center to being a goalie.
Now, we're gonna try to get your dad on this episode because we're gonna have more goalie dads, but most dads usually put a lot, like not say pressure, but a pushback when it comes to letting their kids be a goalie. Did you get that from your dad at all?
I think my dad was okay with me playing whatever position. Then my dad had just kind of third coach for me. So outside of having a goalie coach and a head coach, he was a coach that would always give me some negative and some more positive. Always on the ride's back, and like a personal coach for me along the way. He's been a great support, and I don't think I would be where I'm at without him. And I think he was fine with whatever position I played. Obviously, maybe probably even pissed because I chose the most expensive.
Yeah, that's usually it's usually why most parents don't want their kids to be goalie.
Yeah,
you know, all the responsibility and all the expenses. Do you remember the goalie that was playing in that first pro game?
It's a good question. I do not. There's a couple of goalies I remember playing in the pro team, but I cannot remember who it was in that.
Did you have a goalie? Who was your guy growing up? Like the one that you just loved, you wanted to be exactly like them, or that was the most inspirational for you?
I've always liked Vayrynen, and then you see Saros where recently. Obviously, he wasn't in the NHL level all time when I was younger, but Vayrynen, you see Saros. I think I'm kind of like a hybrid between them two.
Mm-hmm. Now, so the development model in terms of hockey is very different in Europe compared to North America. So I'm less familiar with it as I've been here and spending the last week trying to absorb as much as I can. Could you kind of talk us through, like, when you start playing hockey, how does that work? I know there are local clubs and you go off where in the United States, like, you're not really playing. You kind of play for your hometown, but your town itself isn't really invested in it. You kind of, it's just more of a name on the jersey. So for our North American listeners who aren't as familiar with it, what is the development model like in Finland specifically?
So you start, obviously there's going to be a lot of kids starting to play hockey in same age as you. And then I think they squeeze it down to a certain amount. I think there's like at least 5 or 6 clubs in Espoo. And then eventually they pick out teams. There are going to be multiple teams in each age group. And then there's going to be like better teams like triple, kind of like in stage 2, like AAA, AA, and then 1A. And then the development path is basically in your club, your whole town. You rise up the age groups and then eventually, try to go pro. And but it starts out with the younger teams, and then now it speeds upwards.
And then so essentially the younger teams ultimately are a feeder into your U18, U20
Yeah.
city teams,
Yeah.
correct?
So you start in your hometown, and most of the time you're gonna have a pro team in that same town. So what the teams would like to happen almost 100% of the time, they would like you to start in your hometown and play for your pro team. So you're gonna have your junior team, your pro team, your team you start in the same city.
Do the pro teams, are they financially invested in younger programs?
Usually the league of teams, so the pro team it finances the U20 team most of the time,
Okay.
and then younger from U20, so U18 downwards. I think it's older. You have to pay monthly for you to be able to be part of the team.
Unlike your goalie partner this year, one of your goalie partners, Blake, who really didn't have a goalie coach coming to college, you had many. And this week, when meeting a few of them, meeting Yanni, talking about how that works. The young goalies get a goalie coach right from the beginning. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it's not always the case in every team or in every city, but for me, I've been very fortunate to have a goalie coach. I think in every year I played hockey.
Yeah, and so for a guy like Yanni, and hopefully we can get him on the podcast. So in Finland, you have does the country have like a director of goaltending that oversees the other clubs, or say for is the Liga team, do they have a director that oversees the U20, U18, and so forth?
So I think there's a couple of guys that run the whole goalie scene in Finland who kind of give a direction to all the goalie coaches in every club on what they kind of want their coaches to work on with their goalies. And there are guys that are in charge of every club's goalie coaching, and then every team from league downwards will have a goalie coach, and they'll be the ones working with the goalies.
What was your first impression of me as a goalie coach? I was curious.
I heard of you before I came to Tech.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, in a good way or bad way?
It was good.
Okay.
Good. Positive. And I think we had a good thing going on last year, and I think we clicked well, and I think we got better. And first impression was good.
What's the biggest difference you notice between like Finnish goaltending, like goalie coaching, and I guess North American goaltending, goalie coaching, I guess, or my style at least?
We did a lot of video, and you had like multiple cameras on the ice, which was awesome. That's not always the case in Finland, and I think in Finland you like to build a relationship with the goalie, get to know them and what they are like outside of the ice too. So you get more out of it when you know the guy and you know how to approach him. I think that's big in Finland, and I think you did a good job with that too. Last year we got to know each other pretty well, and I don't think there's a lot of huge differences, but in the States there's I think you guys give a lot of feedback like mid drills and tell the goalies to work on something you noticed in the previous rep, and I think that was good last year. I think you like during practice, you can tweak on little things while you're doing them instead of coming out of the net and then possibly going to the next drill and you're like you never got to work on the stuff that maybe didn't go as well as a could have went part. That's one of the things. I don't think there's a lot of other big differences.
Now I gotta pull up your stats here because I did not memorize them. But I did have them in advance. Then usually I don't have anything prepared, so that's good. So the year before Tech, you had ended up playing. So you had 12 starts.
I think that's missing some data,
but really good numbers in those 12 starts. And then you were in the number 2 role last year, and I know that can be, frustrating or different or a change. And for most goalies, especially when they get to college, that's usually their freshman situation. But for goalies that struggle, with that, I guess, backup role, how did you deal with it? How did you approach it? What was your mindset, and what was your support system like to kind of stay focused throughout the entire year?
So the way I approached last year was obviously I knew that when you're a freshman, it's pretty typical that you're not going to get a lot of games, even if you're really good freshmen usually don't get that many plays. It doesn't matter if you're a goalie or a player.
Mm.
That's usually how it goes. So I kind of knew that in the back of my head. And I approached the year in a way where I'm just going to have fun and enjoy every moment. They take everything I can away from practice and just get as good as I can. And all the starts I get, I'm just going to go 100% every time and just enjoy every moment out there. And we got a good thing going on with Blake last year and Mo. We each and every one of us, we pushed each other. We learned from each other, and they're really good guys. They're really easy going all the time. Nothing too serious ever. So we had a good thing going on. Tried to just support Blake, cheer on the guys, and have good success with the team. And didn't worry too much about not getting starts or not playing. Just try to enjoy every moment.
I have a question here. So it was, you were recently invited to the Calgary Flames development camp. How was that experience? What was the biggest struggle for you in Calgary?
It was a really cool week. It was a great experience and it was an awesome week. Tough but awesome, and got to meet some good goalie coaches, great guys. Got to know the organization. The organization got to know me. And biggest struggle, food poisoning on the day before I left.
No, the day before, like you got to camp?
Yeah, so I left Monday morning. I think I had a flight at 7 a.m. or something like that.
From Finland?
From Finland, yeah. And camp started on Wednesday morning with testing. And it was Saturday night. I got food poisoning from, I think it was sushi. I love sushi, but I think it was from sushi. I got food poisoning. Couldn't eat anything on Sunday. Threw up everything and empty stomach. Traveling on Monday, 12 hours, couple of long flights. But I mean, it was a good week. I don't think it affected it too much, but it was a good week.
What do we think? What was the biggest like positive thing from you that you got from, or a positive thing like from the experience? And then what was something that surprised you out of your camp or surprised yourself?
Well, positive thing is probably the guys I met, the cool experiences, and I don't think if there's one or two things that surprised me, but it was really cool to see how well the organization takes care of our players and always has food and hydration, all that. Really is like pro stuff. Never really experienced anything like that before, and I mean, it was just a great week.
For, I guess, not many people get to experience an NHL development camp or NHL camp. What's a typical day like at a development camp?
So we say, I think, well, let's start from the beginning of the camp. So we'd have testing in the morning, probably leave the hotel at 6 a.m., grab some light breakfast, testing. Then we'd have lunch, a couple of seminars, maybe an hour of food or nutrition seminars, and then the other one was like social media training. And then we hopped on the ice with the goalies and the goalie coaches, about an hour and 15 around there, and then cool down, showers, go to the hotel, grab dinner with the guys, and then maybe an hour of rest time, and then the last seminar in the night, and then around 8 p.m. done with the day, and then just rest and go to bed early, and then wake up the next morning.
Your first college game, so not exhibition, first college start, that was against Lake State, correct?
I think it was against Bemidji.
Oh yeah, you're right, it was Bemidji. Lake State was the second one.
Lake State?
Yeah. So what's going through your mind? You finally get the nod, first NCAA start.
That was pretty cool. I was waiting for that moment. I got the biggest nervousness out the way in the exhibition games. And I mean, playing at the MAC against Bemidji was a really cool experience. A lot of fans, loud students. And I think the game was decent amount of action. I think it was a shootout loss, 2-3, I think. But I think it went pretty well. And yeah, I mean, that was an awesome experience. Got to put on the tech jersey, and I've been waiting for that moment for a while.
What are your goals for this upcoming season?
My goals are for sure try to take the play position from Blake, get as many games as I can, and get better, and just enjoy my second year of college.
What are you studying in school?
Studying I'm in business and finance.
Business finance. So you came in. There's bugs flying around. I wonder if the mic's gonna pick those up. But time management. Time management sometimes is a struggle going into college for a lot of players, especially those that graduate high school and take a few years off. Was it a shock to you to have the course load and then juggle the academics and athletics?
I mean, it's always a struggle as a student athlete, and you definitely have to put some effort into combining hockey and studies. But I think I've always been pretty good at keeping time or just keeping schedule on what you have to do when, and making sure you got schoolwork done in due time. But yeah, there's for sure you gotta get your schedule straight and make sure you get everything done. But I think I did a pretty decent job.
We're battling these bugs right
Oh,
now. I thought I was like, oh, at the start, I did say you are everyone's mom's favorite goalie. that is a reference to Book Talk, which is a romance genre of books. Anyways, Max is very popular on Book Talk. So I remember posting that like a stretching routine of yours because I just thought, hey, like goalies would definitely appreciate this flexibility routine. I think it's something they could incorporate in their day. Then I woke up the next morning and I saw our TikTok video had a couple 100,000 views and a couple hundred comments, and they were all women throwing themselves at you. Has that impacted your life in any way? And if so, is that something you tell people that you are popular on Book Talk?
For sure there's been a couple of DMs maybe, but it's always positive. But I don't think it has affected my life too much. Nobody's yet to come talk to me about that.
Talk to you in the street
yet on road trips or anything like that. But yeah, it's always funny to laugh with the guys about the comments on the posts and all that. But I mean, positive things only, and nothing negative, and it's pretty funny to see the first time.
Guys give you a hard time about it?
Not really. I'm just joking about it.
They're just jealous.
Probably.
Have you ever read any of those hockey Book Talk novels?
I'm not.
I wonder if maybe what I'll do is I'll tag Emily Rath, the author, and get her to send you. I did read one. It's very interesting. The goalie is Finnish.
Oh, yes.
So that's probably also another reason. And he likes metal, and he's very tattooed. So it's basically you. So I'm gonna have to see if I can get you a copy of one of those books. Tattoos and metal. Is that one of those things that, or two of those things that we share in common? I was very pleased. I didn't know you like metal until like later in the season. Mm-hmm. Is that a Finnish thing? Is that how did you get into like heavy metal?
I think it's for sure because of where I'm born, Finland. I think Finland has the most metal bands per capita in the world, and before Finland being the number one reason they were 100%, the fact that my dad listened to Rammstein, Nightwish, and Linkin Park and Metallica a lot when I was younger, and it would be on the radio or he play his CDs in the car all the time, and that's how I got into that music. And the past couple of years I've been getting into heavier music, and yeah, that's one subject we share in common, and I think it's good to get to let out your anger through your headphones instead of knocking down the door at your old house. Your parents will probably not be happy about that.
Just punching holes in the drywall. Yeah. Top five favorite bands. You don't have to give them in any particular order, but if you had to be like, hey, these are my bands, they best represent me, what would they be?
For sure, Bring Me the Horizon, Dad Omens, Imminence would probably be up there. Now I really like lately the songs by Signs of the Swarm, and let's throw A Mirror in there.
In a Mirror. Okay.
Just not necessarily. And
Yeah, they are very, very heavy. So do you do you think heavy music is a goalie thing, or is it just you come across any, like, I mean, obviously Yanni, who we spent all the time yesterday with, but any other goalies that you come across that are particularly into metal?
not many, but I know there's some guys that like to play drums or like to play guitar in their pastime. Who are goalies too, but not many, especially not many in my age group like metal. But every now and then you run into a couple.
Tattoos, you got a lot. I know we are sitting shirtless in this interview if you're watching on YouTube, because we have been doing the old sauna, jump in the water, rinse and repeat. Um, you're a younger guy, 20, 21.
21.
When did you get your first tattoo?
Got my first tattoo when I was I think 18.
What was the meaning? Like, when did you want to get inked?
I think I just got done with high school, and both my parents are tatted. Well, my sister got her first tattoo maybe half a year before that, and I wanted to get a tattoo. We actually got the same one, right? This one right here.
You and your sister?
Me and my sister got it, and I mean, people say you get addicted to tattoos, and I mean, it's been history ever since. In the past 2.5, 3 years, I've gotten 11 tattoos after my first one.
Yeah, one more. We got one more coming this week too.
One more coming next week.
We're getting matching best friend tattoos.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so what do you miss most about Finland when you when you come over to school, America?
For sure, friends and family. It's always tough being away from your friends and family for a long time. Food's another thing. Food is it's good, but when I'm used to food that is maybe even good for you, that's one thing I miss. And
you're telling me that McDonald's and Burger King, which you do have in Finland, but having those all the time isn't good for you?
I'd say it's not optimal. That's food too, and it gets your, I mean, it shuts down your hunger, but there could be better options. And another thing is probably the sweets, and chocolate and candy. Like a big sweet guy, and I mean, summer cottage is always awesome in the summer. That's one thing I miss. The lake and the saunas. Good thing we have a sauna at the rink, and a lot of guys enjoy that really. And yeah, I'd say those three things.
What's your favorite like dish that you can't get in America that you can get in Finland? Like something that you could eat like every day. Sushi, obviously, I know you love sushi, but we can get that anywhere.
Yeah.
What's your favorite like Finnish dish?
I'd say my mom's mashed potatoes up there.
This is a secret recipe, so
yeah,
something they're doing, I don't know, but it is 10 out of 10 best mashed potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
And then
mashed potatoes is for sure up there. Rye bread.
Yeah, the rye bread is much better here.
It's actual bread.
It is actual bread. Yeah.
Instead of bagels in the States or toast. And then salmon soup is for sure up there.
Oh, salmon soup. Yeah, I'd definitely say salmon soup's gotten up there.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember when you first got the tech, you and Castor were just complaining about all the food.
More Castor.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, what's the impression of like goaltending in North America coming from the European side? So for like growing up, you know, it was all for us. It was like Finland was the hotbed at the time for goalies.
Yeah.
So it was always like, what are they doing? It's so like crazy. There's some secret formula. The Finnish goalies have these crazy like Finnish active hands. They're all flexible. What's the impression of like North American goalies? Is it positive? If it's negative, you could say it, or don't worry if I'm just curious because it's something that we don't get to hear from a lot, or especially myself and Ben who run the pod. You're our first European guy on the pod. So what do you guys hear? What do you guys think of North American goalies growing up?
I think one of the biggest things I like about North American goalies is just the battle and finding ways to just stop the puck. Because in Finland, it's a lot about technique and we skate a lot. I mean, those are really important things you need to develop being a goalie. But the way the North American goalies just battle and find ways to stop the puck is one thing I really like about North American goalies. And there's a lot of very different goalies in the States, because I think it's one of the bigger reasons that is because of the lack of goalie coaches. So the guys just work with their strengths and just find ways to stop pucks. There's a lot of variety in goalies in the States.
Now you think, so you said lack of goalie coaches is definitely one reason. I know consistent messaging from goalie coaching in America is sort of non-existent. Everyone does their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
In Finland, if you go skate with someone in Espoo or skate with someone in, I don't know, a town somewhere up north, is the style going to be pretty much the same?
It's going to be pretty similar. Like the foundation of goaltending in Finland, like I said before, like there's guys that are in charge of pretty much the entire Finnish goaltending development and the national teams. So the basic foundations to goalie coaching, no matter where you're on the Finland, are going to be pretty similar. So active hands, good skating, flexibility, all those like simple, important foundations of a good goalie.
You go back in time, tell your younger self one piece of advice. What would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Enjoy the younger years of your life.
They go too fast.
I mean, I'm already 21 and got some age.
Oh, you're a young guy.
I'm still young, but enjoy every moment and don't overthink too much.
Don't overthink too much. Oh, so anything you want to add? It's been a pretty good interview. I think I've exhausted all my questions.
Yeah.
Anything anyone you want to shout out? Any last messages?
Not really.
Not really. Just maybe possibly an EGM camp back in Finland again.
Yeah.
If so, you'll be coaching.
Just the old silent thing. Nothing to say.
That is true. So actually, that's how I'll end it. So, what Finland consistently voted happiest country in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I mean, the nature is probably incredible. I mean, can you be sad in anywhere close?
No, it's actually impossible.
Yeah. Relaxing. But I think we talked about this before about how Finns mind their own business and don't worry themselves about the problems of others. We're always there to support each other, but we really just mind their business and tell them don't talk to them.
I'm sorry.
Just vibe and
You're okay sitting in silence. You don't have to force conversations.
Yeah. And we got things pretty good here in Finland, like free education, free healthcare. I mean, things are pretty good.
Yeah. And it's hard to
standard of living.
Hard to feel sad when you're in sauna every day.
Sauna, good food, unlimited sunlight in summer.
Winters though.
Smells fine, but it's pretty dark. All the guys at Tech are always saying we're in the winter, oh, it's so dark and all this. We're just come with them. You wouldn't make it.
No, I don't think I could. I don't think I could barely hack it in Houghton, let alone.
You wake up at 9 a.m. It's dark. When you go to work, maybe lunchtime will be sun out. You get out of work, it's dark already. Pretty much like 3 hours of sunlight every day.
But when I feel like 3 hours, summer.
But the summers are amazing. The sun never sets.
Someone's coming to visit Finland. What are the 3 things you'd recommend that they do to get the most in a Finnish experience in only 3 things?
I'd say try as many different foods as possible, then sweets. Try to see the countryside, the lakes and the forests, and up in the sauna.
You heard it here. Well, Max, thanks for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. Thank everyone for listening, for commenting, subscribing. Whether you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to my Patreon, so that way we can keep doing more in-person interviews. Maybe Ben can join us next time on our travels and adventures. And thank you guys for just supporting the pod. So again, top 100 hockey podcasts in the world is pretty cool, and
not a big deal.
Yeah, keep going, and maybe one day we'll get a sponsor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys.